This is Pains Don't Hide the Scars podcast. I am Jason LaChance, media director here, and I am with the outreach coordinator, Julian Carvajal. How's it going, good sir?
I'm good. How are you?
So we've got a challenge. Unfortunately, this is coming out just a couple days before Christmas, and we want to do an episode about the gift of recovery, where we just talk about the gifts that have come. That's it. We're not talking any of the other stuff. Unfortunately, Flynn Anderson has been under the weather, founder of Pain, so he's not going to be able to join us on this episode. But how many years are you sober now?
Three.
So,
years.
yeah, I'm coming up on 4, so we've got about equal time. And, you know, it's true. As you get more time, like, more good stuff just starts to happen.
Yeah, definitely.
But, you know, we're about, 20 years difference in age, I think?
Yeah. I'm 21 years old, so.
Okay, so yeah, we're about 25 years different. But I'm just a big kid. And that's been one of the greatest gifts, is that I've embraced the fact I'm a big kid. Like, the more time I get, the more I step into things that bring me the simple joy.
Yeah.
You know? Hobbies, interests, people. You know, what are some of the, just your greatest gifts so far over these last 3 years?
Well, honestly, thinking about this, I've had a lot of different stages in my recovery. For sure, the first year, was just trying to, stay okay and get through life, you know? And then, honestly, the second year, I was heavily focused on ambition and what I could get out of life, and kind of the last 2 years, honestly, or a year and a half, that was really my main focus. Was now that I'm grounded and that I'm okay, I want to look for those things out of life and get as much as I can out of life. And so I worked a lot, did as much as I possibly could to gain things, mainly financially. And I think the last few months I've been trying to just enjoy life, you know, and relax. I'm not very good at that, but it's a lot easier for me to maintain a steady mindset when I'm focused on a goal.
Yeah.
When I'm focused on something bigger than myself, especially. And I think that I definitely got a little carried away with it, though. I was so obsessed with what was next, what I can gain from life, that I definitely put my recovery on the back burner. And it's not that I had any consequences from it, but
not externally.
No, but internally for sure, because, I mean, there's only so much progress you can make in a certain period of time, and I was not satisfied with what that progress was.
Sure. Well, it's, you know, I've talked to some people that, you know, new in recovery and struggling, and I ask them, have you ever tried to play an instrument? You know, and some people, yeah or no, and I go, it's a really weird thing. You know, I did guitar lessons for years, and I don't have a musical gene in me. I'm tone deaf. But, yeah. You know, I have pretty good dexterity, and when I would try to learn something, maybe a new technique or chord progression or whatever it is, and it's just hard. And then the more you stick with it, all of a sudden something clicks.
Yep.
And it's just fluid. And recovery is the same way.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we really require patience. It's an odd thing. It's like you were saying, you were focused on what you can get out of life. And it's weird when you start to shift to, what can I give to it? You know,
yeah.
Like getting out of your own way. Like, you're very active locally in the recovery community here. You're the perfect person for the position that you have here at Pain. And oh no, it's true. As you know, I've been advocating for you for a long time, as has Flint. And so it's weird when we just start to kind of get out of our own way of, and I'm not saying don't set goals, because our next episode, that's what we're going to talk about, setting goals in the new year, and for anyone in recovery, some things that we recommend. But once you kind of start getting out of your way a little bit and just asking, I know for me, it's asking God, like, what do you want from me? Like, the more I've done that, and the more I've, built up skill sets or whatever it is, the more opportunities have come my way. Yeah. It's weird. It's like I dedicated myself to donating more to charities in addition to pain that I care about. One deals with human sex trafficking, the drug smuggling and dealing and all that sadly goes very hand in hand. Yeah. And we've seen that. And I was like, okay, I want to donate to that. I want to donate to my church. I want to donate to an organization in Africa that is helping these tribes that everyone's got AIDS in the tribe, and they're trying to get proper medicine and get to areas where it's safe, where it's not an invading army coming to destroy their village, and sponsored a child in South America and all these things that I would have never have thought of.
Yeah.
And it just felt right to do. And the more I've done that, the more I've been blessed with a greater income, a different group of people. Not that people, I'm not judgments over old friendships and stuff like that, but it continues to evolve. And it's like the more we get out of our way and kind of focus on how do I do better for the world, internally I seem more at peace. And not that I don't have my days, I do, but I've just got more tools of resilience and managing passing feelings and thoughts and things of that nature.
Yeah, definitely. I wanted to say something like what you said about the instruments. I feel like life in recovery is very similar. Like, if you don't practice, you don't continue to grow. And in recovery, if we don't continue to progress and continue to grow, a lot of times we start to regress. And I think it's definitely like that with instruments. But you can pick it up again quickly. Mm-hmm. When you make those big achievements, it's easy to lose, but it's easy to get back to once you've already gotten there. And it's the new stuff that's hard to get. And for me, it's been, I've noticed, like what you said, is the more that I try to help other people, the better I feel, and the more I feel like, okay, I'm doing the right thing. And as I mentioned, I was trying to control everything in my life too much the second year of my recovery. And honestly, I haven't really been feeling it like it's okay until about a month ago. I started finally feeling like, okay, it's okay for me to let go of control. Like, I've been trying to do it for months now, nearly a year, and just trying to accept things, especially accepted things that are out of my control, and trying to see that God is pointing me in a different direction than I want for myself. And that's really difficult for me. It's extremely difficult for me. I'm one of those people who, when I got sober, it was like, okay, now that I'm sober, I just need to learn how to exist. And then once I know how to exist, I need to take control of everything. And that was, it's still difficult for me. I want to control everything. I want to set what I get out of life, and I'm going to demand what I want out of life. Because now that I'm sober, I have the opportunities and the clear mind to objectively go after what I want. And I think that I've been starting to realize and truly feel that it's okay to follow God's plan, and it's okay to accept the gifts that He gives me, and those sometimes are the most fruitful, and usually what I want is not actually what's going to make me happy, But I think it's important to really strive for something to get out of life, because I never wanted AA or recovery to be my entire life. Mm-hmm. And now it's always been a big part of my life the past 3 years, but I guess I just keep telling myself, like, don't make it the primary thing. And looking back, and even now, it is the primary thing.
New Perceptions North, the premier drug and alcohol treatment and recovery center in Central California. A full continuum of medically supervised top quality care with programs for detox and patient residential treatment with dual diagnosis, intensive outpatient treatment, sober living support groups, and more. New Perceptions North provides adult men and women with the highest caliber of professional health care, treating each client with compassion and respect in a safe, comfortable environment to begin the process of recovery to proudly create and sustain a life without addiction. Call 559-978-1507 or visit newperceptionsnorth.com.
Yeah, well, I think it's just no matter what, no one thrives without a mindset towards servitude. And that's just whatever it is that you do. You're serving someone in some way, shape, or form, and that is not a negative thing. And as far as the control factor, I mean, it's why we say the serenity prayer at all of our meetings. You know, it's essentially control the controllables and accept those things in which we cannot. And that differentiation, that ability of discernment of, you know, do I need to control X, Y, and Z? Like, we can't control other people. We can't control, you know, things that come to fruition in the way we do. We can embrace so much because the one thing we do have is just our mindset and being able to handle it. And, you know, for anyone that's early in recovery, especially in that first year, like you said, it is so hard. Yeah. It is so hard. Like, once you get that year thing, like, you know, day to day, it's commendable. And then when you get to a year, or, you know, month to month, and then, or from day to day to week to month to year, you know, all of a sudden, you know, you just start to realize, wow, this is just my lifestyle. This is the way I live. This is the way I conduct myself. Yeah. Because the ultimate gift, in my perspective, of recovery is a conscious way of living, a self-awareness of how we act, how we treat others. That's why, like, the fourth step so important, knowing who you need to make apologies to and how to do it, and build relationships and everything else. It's simple, not easy. Yeah. It really is. Yeah. And it is. And it's like a baby learning to walk, man. Yeah. It's you're gonna fall down on your backside. You just are. Yeah. But it's okay. You're built to do it, and it's good because the falling down is where you learn.
Yeah. You learn how to get back up over and over again.
Yeah.
And it's a lot. You face a lot of things that seem a lot more difficult than they are. And like it says in the big book, what is it, that we will learn how to handle things that used to baffle us. And, you know, I've truly experienced that, and I've experienced the promises, and I think that getting things out of life is subjective, you know. And for me, I've always wanted to be that kind of spiritual person who all they really cared about was being of service to people and having a connection to God, and being a humble person. And just by nature, that's not me. Like, honestly, it's just not me. I am a very ambitious, greedy person.
Why do you say you're greedy, though? What are you greedy about?
Mostly money and prestige. I want to feel smarter than, better than other people.
Why?
Because I have a lack of esteem.
Oh, okay. Well, so that's that consciousness.
Yeah. I know where it comes from, and
sure.
And obviously it's something that I work on, and like I said, I've been starting to feel like okay with the things I have in life.
Now, let me ask you: is that attached to stories? Because obviously, what we're saying is it's a comparative thing.
Yeah,
it's like a comparing to somebody else, or I should be here, and that's the interesting part about humans is everything we do through the history of time is storytelling.
Yeah,
you know, it used to be back before we knew how to read and write. You know, there was the Socrates up there telling the story and fables, and then we get people like Shakespeare and all that. Like, we are storytelling creatures, you know. Yeah. Which makes me ask, like, is there any situations maybe with your mom or your dad where you've brought up like a memory of childhood and they go, yeah, that's not how that happened?
Yeah, definitely. I'm sure. I don't know if I can think of any off the top of my head, but I'm certain there's been stuff like that.
And the reason I asked that is, like I said, we're storytellers. So if we remain attached to certain things, like I did it with relationships. If I'm with someone that looks this good, then everybody will validate me, obviously, as my law of attraction has increased. And it was continue looking, like I say, my saying is no outside solutions to inside problems. It was looking for the external to fill whatever is inside, which is impossible. It's impossible. The only thing that really does is God and ourselves.
Yeah. I think that I know after the first year of my sobriety, I learned to be okay with myself for the most part, internally. And I truly believed that, and I partially still do, that I needed outside success to feel good about myself, because not necessarily that I needed the external validation, but just that I needed to prove to myself that I could do it. Because there is part of me that feels like, okay, I need to do these things for other people to see that I'm good enough. Because I've always had, ever since I was a kid, I had that feeling of like, I'm not good enough. But there's also that feeling of, my mom got sober when she was 27 years old, and I compare myself a lot to her and where she's at in life and where my both of my parents are in life. And I think I know it's ridiculous, but I always look at myself like, okay, I got sober at 18, my mom got sober at 27, about 9 years. So wherever she was at, let's say at 30, that she was at 3 years sober, I should be at the same point as her, at least, bare minimum. And I really hold myself to a very higher standard than that, because I think, okay, my mom got sober at 27. Let's say financially, family base and all this, she had all these accomplishments. I got sober younger, and I have all the history and knowledge that she has, which she didn't have when she was 30 years old, but I have that. So I should be a lot farther along than her, because I have all this knowledge from my parents. I have all these benefits that other people don't have. And I think that my dad came from Mexico, and you know, I always look at things as how much you've progressed, not how much you have. So if you grew up rich and then got richer, it's not as big an achievement as someone who was dirt poor and got a master's degree and now makes 50, 60K a year, you know? Sure. Like, it's not a crazy amount of money, but it's huge in comparison to where they started.
Sure.
And so I put myself as, I started so high that I have to be so much higher than, I should already be where my parents are at right now.
Right.
But they're like in their, well, my dad's like 60 and my mom's in her late 50s, and it's just unrealistic because I'm 21.
Well, and that's all and it'll come with you for time, is that, you know, that's like the joy, happiness, fulfillment, prosperity are all external things, you know? Like, you know, I had a 20-year radio career, and I knew it was going to be a profession that, unless I got to a really high level, wasn't going to be lucrative. Very few people, especially now, make a really, really good living. But I made a decent living. Like, I did better than most. And I went from a guy that was washing vans to, by the time I left, I was in charge of 6 radio stations and 20 staff, you know? And was my bank account blowing up? No, I was still taking side jobs and everything else like that. But by the time I left, I was already in my recovery, you know, and that journey showed me that area was closed for me. This thing that I was passionate about, like, I was done with it, you know. And so I think we can't compare our insides to anyone else's outsides. It's just unrealistic. So many people, that's like their biggest struggle with, you know, social media and things like that is, you know, I feel so much for women that do that, comparing themselves to like some fitness model or whatever it is, and they've told themselves some story about it, when maybe that's a god-awful person who's completely empty inside, has had, you know, $500,000 in surgeries or whatever else. You know, it's like we can't look for anything for this thing that is inside to be filled with any external comparisons. Like, it's like when you talk about those people of success, you know, maybe it's the person, like you said, that came from wealth, that got the $1 million, they turned into $1 billion, or the person that came from nothing, got the master's degree and is earning the $100,000 a year. No matter what, both of those people had some struggle to do it.
Yeah, of course.
So it's like, the person with the $1 million can blow it real quick.
Yeah.
No matter what, it's the matter of focus, discipline, drive, determination, resilience, all these things that we like to do. We like to keep up with the Joneses and compare.
Yeah.
My car, your car, whatever it is. Like, eventually you're going to get to a point where you realize you just don't give a shit. You dig what you dig.
If you or a loved one is struggling with addiction, please call PAIN, Parents and Addicts in Need, at 559-579-1551, or visit us online at painnonprofit.org. Follow us on social media on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Pain Nonprofit. And please subscribe to the Don't Hide the Scars podcast and share with others wherever you get podcasts and on YouTube. And if you would like to donate to PAIN, Parents and Addicts in Need, please click the link in the description to make your tax-deductible donation today and help us save more lives gripped by addiction.
Yeah.
Like I'm a geek. For those that aren't watching, I'm sitting here wearing my my GI Joe outfit here with my Rashikage, which I have the tattoo of the same logo on me because when I was a kid, I loved GI Joe, and I was going through a very financially hard time early in my recovery, and I had all my toys from childhood, and I mean my parents spoiled me. Like, I had everything, and I sold it all for enough to I paid the mortgage for a month and some. Like, it was a good amount of stuff. And the one thing I didn't want to let go of was my favorite character, Snake Eyes. I had this character, he was a ninja, and I had every version of him when I was a kid. And that's what this like symbol is in the tattoo that I have on my arm. And this guy made me this offer I could not refuse because my focus was bettering that for my kids and myself. And so it's also letting go of those attachment of things.
Yeah.
Because that's a story that I can share and I will never regret.
Yeah.
I'll never regret it. And now, as an adult, like, oh, yeah, I'll build like these, sculptures of these figures that I liked as a kid. Or my first sponsor was like, what did you like as a kid? And everything I named off was really expensive, like go-kart racing or whatever. And he's like, something reasonable. I go, I like to build Legos. Now when I need some space to myself at middle-aged man, what do? I got a little play money, I build some Legos because it's fun. And there's Star Wars or race cars, the stuff that I'm into. It's like I embrace those simple joys again of this stuff. And it's, like I'm by no means a millionaire or even a thousandaire for that matter, but I've got a lot more joy in my life that I ever recall having.
Yeah. I started playing video games a year ago, and that's kind of one of the things that I was really into when I was a kid, and I was definitely addicted to that before I got into drugs, but now I definitely chill out on it and moderate my game usage. But I think it's nice to have those outlets to relax yourself and kind of take your mind off of things when they're difficult, or even if they're not, just to enjoy life,
Well, I think it's that finding solitude, like comfort in solitude, in friendship with yourself. Like for me, Thanksgiving, my kids went with their mom. The missus went out of town. I had work, so I couldn't go, and so I went to a movie on Thanksgiving. My meal was a hot dog at the movie theater. Well, I watched that movie Red One with The Rock.
Oh,
and everything.
I wanted to see that.
And it was fun. It was a blast. I had a blast. I had a good time. I enjoyed time with myself, something that I would not have been able to do. I would have been like, is there anywhere open that the bar is there?
Yeah.
Or, hitting up whoever and just looking for any way to numb the loneliness too. And it's just like, I don't get bored and I don't get lonely anymore.
Yeah.
And if I do, it's a feeling I can process pretty quickly.
Yeah, definitely. I used to say all the time that I was bored, but like most of the time I'd be doing stuff. And I think it was definitely mostly loneliness, just feeling like disconnected. And I think especially when you're using, you no matter how many people are around you, you still kind of feel alone because you're lying to everyone at least a little bit. And you don't feel that connection when you know you're hiding and when you know you're pretending to be something you're not to people. And that's one of the things that I've gotten out of life that is most important to me is that the relationships. That's been the biggest one. And I think I like to see things in different ways, you know, and I think in recovery and especially in this kind of field of stuff, either mental health, recovery, any spiritual type of thing, it's very based on feeling okay with yourself on the inside and not focusing on external things. And for me, that's just not enough, honestly. Like I think it's a mandatory foundation, but I don't think it's the complete picture. And that's what it is for me, that I have to prove to myself that I can accomplish things. And it's, I think part of my driving force is the things that I mentioned before, external feelings of other people and the negative ways that I feel about myself sometimes. But it's also, I know that I've been given things that other people haven't, and I think it's unfair for me to not use my gifts to help others. So like I don't see it as, oh, I want to be a millionaire because I want the house, I want the boat, the yacht, whatever it is. Like I think, like I look at Flint and I think, man, like I want to be successful so I could help as many people as he helps, you know, because you can't just start a nonprofit with nothing, you know. You need some experience, you need some money, you need things to back it. And you know, I've learned to see life that way, to be able to know that for my own personal foundation is one thing, but I can't fully accept myself unless I strive to take things from the world and distribute them to others who are in need, you know. And I think a lot of people take for themselves and take for their immediate loved ones, and I think more people should use their gifts that God gave them and exploit them as much as possible and gain as much as possible so that they can give to people who don't have those same abilities. And that's why I push myself so hard and really focus on how much I can get out of life, because there's people that aren't as smart as me, don't have the parents that I had, don't have the emotional stability that I have, because, you know, now that one of the worst things in my life was my addiction, but now it's one of the best. And it gave me the ability to process emotionally, mentally, and physically a lot of things. And I can overcome a lot of things that other people can't. Whether they're smarter than me or not, they might not have the same emotional intelligence that I do.
Well, and that's such an important thing to share, and I'm glad you did, because that's what, once you can get to a point where gratitude is ever present, you know, it is really one of the greatest gifts of sobriety. Yeah. It just really is. And sometimes people that do not face the challenges that those of us in recovery who've really worked it, thrived, given back, may never face that, really having to be so grateful for all the hardships and adversities, you know. I underwent sexual abuse as a kid, and you know, and I've had conversations with my dad who he did, and you know, not to compare apples to oranges, but his was really horrific. And you know, and he's said, son, I'm sorry that happened to you too. And I'm like, Dad, I'm not. Like, it doesn't bother me anymore. It doesn't say anything about me. It doesn't say anything about anyone other than the sick individual who was sick. And I don't mean that like, you know, whatever, but I'm willing to bet the same thing happened to them. But now I've been able to go speak with young people, share that story, and sadly some of them have gone through it too, and they know they're not alone. And that's where it becomes the gift. And that's why it's like people like, why are you so open about sharing your story? And I'm sure you get it too, is because I know it's going to help someone.
Yeah.
And that is the gift. Again, back to where we start. We are storytelling creatures.
Yeah.
And if we get that story, we are an illustration of the hero's journey. Just like Luke Skywalker. Had to plug Star Wars again.
I think it's very important to tell stories to each other, because we often tell stories to ourselves, and they don't always have a base in reality. So
No.
I know that that's something that I used to do a lot, and still do, but not as much now, is that tell myself the stories in my head of what other people think of me, what I think of myself.
Because they're overinflated one way or the other.
Exactly.
They're either in like
grand thoughts of grandeur or
grandeur, and then
thoughts of being nothing, worthless, and neither is true.
Yeah.
And when you tell these stories to other people, I don't know what it is, but as soon as you say something out loud, it helps you see it in a different light. Even if no one else comments on it, it helps you personally see things in a different light, and it might also help that person see their own story differently. And that's something else that I really enjoy seeing in other people. And I honestly still get nervous talking like on the podcast or
Sure.
Any form of public speaking, especially stuff that goes online, because I always worry, like, am I going to regret this in a year, 5 years, 10 years from now? Am I going to regret talking about this stuff openly? And I hope I don't, but
I've faced it for the last over 5 years, 6 years or so. The same thing, same thoughts, same wonderment. And I think the answer will be revealed to you within time, and I don't see how, as someone on your recovery journey, the cool thing about it is, you know what, we put out there to the world everything that you can go ahead and judge us for, and the reality of it is, like, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Like, what are you going to do to me? Like, you like, if you're not hearing it, I've already been through my own personal hell.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing that somebody else's opinion of me can do in comparison to what I've already survived.
Yeah.
I have gone through and survived every single one of my worst days. So somebody's opinion or judgment, whatever it is, like, I just don't have time for it.
Yeah.
I don't. I got time for the people. Thanks. I know what you're feeling, man. I can relate, appreciate it, or it's just like reaching out.
Yeah.
Like, I got time for that. The other stuff, I don't have any time for, and that's okay.
Yeah, I no longer feel ashamed for the things I did. I mean, for the most part, there's some things that, are between me and my sponsor only.
Sure.
that I feel shame about still, but I don't share those things publicly. But anything that I've shared publicly, like, I don't feel ashamed about anymore. But I do think sometimes, like, what if I try to get a job and they turn me down because of this? They find these pictures or videos of me openly talking about substance abuse and
well, for one, they can't discriminate based on that. For two, you know what? They did you a favor.
Yeah.
And it's hard to sometimes see things that way of what is being done as a favor to you. But, like, my perspective now is, like, thank you. I've come to you as genuine and authentic as I know how to be, and you're rejecting it, and that's okay.
Most of the time, people really value the honesty, though.
Yeah.
I've realized that a lot of people, I was going to say, a lot of people don't have the balls to be honest, or don't have the
I don't think you have the ability to be full of it anymore.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of people just don't have the confidence to be able to be rigorously honest. Sure. And I think I don't even think I have the confidence to be rigorously honest. I think
it's tough.
The only reason I do it is because it's part of the program, and that's the only way I live, is to be rigorously honest. And this is a part of me being rigorously honest, is admitting these things.
It's tough,
and allowing it to be recorded, because when I got sober, my sponsor, the first few months especially, probably the first from like month 2 or 3 to month 6 or 7, my biggest issue was honesty. And the first 6 months, I mean, I remember when I was an inpatient, I had like 3 packets on honesty because I'm telling you, I could not stop lying to save my life. Every word that came out of my mouth was a lie, even though I wouldn't think about it. It would just happen, And then it took me a while, and I had to start coming back and telling people like, hey, my bad, that was actually a lie. And then tell the truth. And for a long time, that was the only way I could tell the truth, was by lying first and then admitting that it was a lie. And slowly I was able to learn how to tell the truth up front. And I think that's and I was taught service. That's the other thing. And so that's why I always say yes to things like this, because I have to say yes to be okay. I have to say yes to continue progressing instead of regressing. And I think the time that I decide I'm not willing to be honest and I'm not willing to be of service is when I start to regress. Yeah. And
well, you got a master. The cool thing about what you shared is you got a master class in making amends. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I wasn't telling the truth. That's a pretty cool opportunity.
Yeah.
Well, hey, as of this release, Christmas is a couple days away.
It's a week away, yeah.
No, as of the release of this, it's 2 days away. How different Christmas and the holidays now for you?
Very. Honestly, I don't know, man. It's been a long time since I've really felt seasons.
Sure.
Probably not since like elementary school or middle school have I felt like that feeling of like it's a different season. Sure. I don't know how to explain it, but
no, I get what you're saying.
Just time goes by and every day is the same to me in a way. And it was like that when I was using, and it's still like that now, that I don't have this sense of, oh my gosh, it's December, and have Christmas feelings all the time, and I just don't have that. But it's so much different now because I really connect with my family now, and that's a huge difference to my past.
No, I'm with you. It's it's a new feeling that comes in.
Yeah,
it's good. Well, thank you all for listening. Of course, the Pains Don't Hide the Scars podcast, available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and our YouTube channel. Just put in youtube.com/@PainNonprofit. You'll find the episodes there, full video on these conversations. And please, if you're getting value out of the podcast, share with someone else. And if you need our services or just have some questions, don't hesitate to contact us. You can go to our website, painnonprofit.org. All the contact information is there. And we wish you all very happy holidays and a Merry Christmas.